Hey everyone, it is Moses T. Alexander Greene, and after last night's occurrence at the Oscars, I found it very necessary to reach out to a very dear friend and actually a former therapist for me, Dr. Johnny Parker, based in Maryland. I went to him, I think in 3 visits with you back in 2009, 2010, we knew that it was my time to leave Maryland. And you gave me the framework to make decisions. And so when I thought about everything that happened, Dr. Parker, and then I saw your post, I knew that I wanted to talk about the Oscars and what transpired between Will Smith and Chris Rock. I want to start with what my intentions are. I live by Proverbs 4 and 7. Those are guiding principles of my life. Wisdom is the principal thing, and all of that getting get understanding. So this is not about right and wrong. It is about, for me, wisdom. What was wisdom crying out in that moment? And what is the collective understanding that we can get? I also have invited friends, and some of us have had differing of opinions. I've invited family. And so I want to start with Dr. Johnny Parker. I should say that first, Will Smith has issued an apology, and I'd like to read it for everyone. It says, "Violence in all its forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable. Jokes at my expense are a part of the job, but a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for me to bear, and I reacted emotionally. I would like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I am embarrassed, and my actions were not indicative of the man I want to be. There is no place for violence in a world of love and kindness. I would also like to apologize to the Academy, the producers of the show, all the attendees, and everyone watching around the world. I would like to apologize to the Williams family and my King Richard family. I deeply regret that my behavior has stained what has otherwise been a gorgeous journey for all of us. I am a work in progress. Aren't we all? Sincerely, Will." So, Dr. Johnny Parker, your thoughts, sir?
Well, first, I don't know Will personally. I'm a big fan of Will and Chris's, and that's why it was troubling for me on many levels. But I really want to affirm being that man to, when you mess up, you fess up. And so as men, when we fall short, to be able to take responsibility, to be able to own it. As I said in my article, Moses, you read, I've had public behavior that where I was embarrassed. I embarrassed myself, and I hurt other people. In what I said is, it's never too late to turn the page. And so that's an answer to prayer, because I prayed that, man, these brothers, I know they know each other. I don't know the level of friendship that they have, but
Yeah.
I really was hoping that some kind of forgiveness, some kind of reconciliation could happen, an apology. So I'm really, really glad that Will did that. And I understand Chris has done it as well.
So, Dr. Parker, according to your article, and like many, I believe, people, but especially Black men around the world, in your article, you said that you were emotionally troubled.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that and again, what that was like for you?
Well, it's secondhand trauma. I grew up in the hood, man. I'm a quick Queens, Brooklyn guy, and I grew up in the 70s, and I grew up in the hood, and I saw this kind of behavior on the regular, right? And so what happens from a emotionally psychological, when you are around trauma, like, seeing physically fighting, domestic violence, or whatever, alcoholism in your neighborhood or your family, whatever, you develop what we call frozen feelings. You just get numb to it. And then as you get older and begin to mature or come to faith spiritually and emotionally, you begin to mature, you start thawing out. And so one of the things that I realized for myself, Moses, was that there's still some stuff that, in terms of trauma, unfinished business in my own life, because I said, well, why was this so troubling for me? And, and so I think that's important that as people are watching, that this is secondhand trauma. No, I didn't get smacked. I wasn't offended. I mean, it wasn't my experience, but it was my experience in a second hand, because to see that kind of physically assaultive behavior, it can trigger unresolved traumas, unresolved issues in one's own life.
Okay, so I know from therapy, of which I'm a proponent, that I have ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, and I had that trauma as well, having seen some things. And so when I woke up and I was like, I feel triggered, and I could not figure out whether it was today's the 12th anniversary of my grandfather's passing, or am I triggered? Like, so that's a very real thing I'm hearing you say for
Yes.
people. Okay, now let's talk about people taking sides.
Yeah.
What was that? Did we have a need to feel like one was right, one was wrong? Did we have a need, like, what's going on for people in that moment? Because as you can tell, there was a continuum of responses, a lot of binary, one was right, one was wrong. But what is that in us as human beings, and what was that for the Black community?
Yeah, there was a lot of that, and I saw where some, especially women, were saying that they saw it as Will protecting his wife, his queen, and
Mm-hmm.
and I saw that response from some women. And then I saw a large response and women, especially Black men, who said they felt embarrassed as Black men because we're always wanting to advance the race, advance our culture, protect our culture, and many of us have been raised that we had to be better than white people in order
Mm-hmm.
to survive in America. We had to be not as good, but we always worked harder. So when we see something like that, we feel like that's undoing all the good work and hard work that entertainers like Tyler Perry and Denzel and others have done to Sidney Poitier, have done to advance entertainment in the Black community. And the fact that it happened on TV, it's bad if it happened just me and you in my basement. It
Yeah,
happened, but
yeah,
that's bad by itself, right?
yeah,
But to see it
yeah,
on TV in front of the world,
yeah.
and that was really troubling. And then just Chris Rock's response is just that Chris didn't retaliate. I mean, if they retaliate, man, they got to go to a commercial break if this thing breaks
Correct,
out.
correct.
You know,
Yeah,
so
and
yeah,
and and, and for me, my immediate, my sister and I, we were the first ones to talk about it in my family. From being an arts producer, from knowing that most times I'm the only Black in the room, Black male or female, I'm the only Black. From knowing that I have to fight to make sure if there's going to be any kind of representation of BIPOC people, I'm fighting to get them on the show. My mind immediately went to Will Packer, who was
yeah.
the first Black producer in the history of the Academy Awards, and then what that is like for him. Um, can we talk about protecting Black womanhood?
Yeah.
Because there's something that was said, you can't say that you're protecting Black womanhood if you are condoning violence
Right.
against another person. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, because one of the things that Will did say that I differed. Will said love makes you do crazy things, and I don't believe that about love. I think love is self-control.
Okay.
Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is gentle. Love is all those things.
Okay.
But I can understand in a moment that you lose perspective and what happened. But we definitely want to protect. We want to cherish our women. We want to honor our women. I've been married 33 years to the same woman, and learning how to protect her, not just physically, obviously the physical, but emotionally, spiritually, and
Yeah.
cherish her, and shine light on her, and let her light shine and get out of her way. And my goal every day as a husband, as a man, and how I want to relate to my sisters, as particularly Black women, I want to leave them better off than how I find them in a given day. Whether that's a
Mm.
smile, whether that's a word, whether that's an empathetic ear, whether that's showing up on social media from love and not for love, I want to show up serving our women and encouraging them. I know what it's like to be a son where my mom was a single parent for many years, and I've watched how that Black woman and women fight for their sons.
Yeah.
Women advocate for their sons and sacrifice for their sons, and so I want to be that dude to my wife and to the many women that I am privileged to serve as a coach, as a professor at Johns Hopkins, even at our church at First Baptist Church of Glen Ardent.
I want to, you said, I'm looking at, you said, I felt empathy for Will listening to his acceptance speech. He was emotionally bleeding and trying to process his stuff in front of the world. Every man needs a friend, a safe person, therapist to process difficult emotions. Well, I've got to say, as someone who professes to be a Christian and goes to therapy, I love that you said a therapist there. Given what's happened in his life publicly in the most recent years, from
Yeah.
the was this
Mm.
the culmination of that? Was this the culmination of two very difficult, challenging years? As my sister said, in every interview,
Yeah.
he's the butt of the joke for something that was a private. Was that just the final straw, or is what was that?
Yeah, no, Moses, that's a great question. That's exactly what went through my mind. I said there was something more than going off. It was not just that joke, and again, it was an inappropriate joke towards Jada. I addressed that and said that, hey, he
Okay,
needs to be
you did say that.
careful. That I don't know if he knew that she has alopecia, but he needs to be aware of the boundaries in terms of humor. But
Okay.
no, I felt my sense of that was a release, a cathartic release of stuff that I believe that's been built up for a long time, because you just never seen Will Smith do that. I mean, he's the Fresh Prince, right? I mean, he's always happy, positive, upbeat, but that I sense that was a release of pent up stuff that's been building up for a long time.
From long before Jada.
Exactly. Well,
And again,
long before Jada, and then in Jada with everything that
yeah,
happens at the red table, the
yeah,
entanglement stuff, and
yeah.
all that stuff that gets played out and acted out, and then, so
And then
yeah,
how?
I think
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it does go way back, and that's
Okay.
the thing. We all got. Will said it. I'm a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. I'm
Yeah.
60 years old, Moses. I still see a therapist and process me. I do,
Yes.
man. Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I still see a therapist once a month just as an emotional massage,
Absolutely.
because I really believe that whatever we don't talk out, we will act out,
And
or our
we
stuff
will
gets
absorb.
buried. Exactly. It gets buried alive inside of us.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I still see a therapist because I can't believe that we go get our vehicles
Yeah,
aligned
right.
and do it, and we don't do that with our mind.
Exactly.
So my when I moved to DC, bring Jerome in, producer. When I moved to DC in '99, the first job that I got was from a man named Lou Hall, and I got a brother out of it, and that was my brother Jerome Johnson right there. Hey Jay.
Hello.
Um, and me and my brother, we disagreed today because I made a statement. I was just like, I made a statement on mutual friends post. I was like, please, it was criminal assault. And me and my brother, we disagreed. So Jay, but did we disagree, Jay, or did we?
I was gonna say I don't think that's the right characterization, but I'm gonna go with it.
Okay, no, because I think because Jay gave his perspective of being the older son, having to take care of a mother and aging grandmothers. I was there when he took care of Grandma Thelma. I saw that being the oldest of other siblings, and so I understood. And where we agreed is he says, "I understand the rage," and I said, "I understand the rage." So what was our differing opinion, Jay?
So I guess I guess what made me not feel like we were on the same page was that there was a lot of absolutes. You know, when I looked at social media, it kind of made me nauseous, right? Mm-hmm. There were so many people and so many opinions, and everybody was so dug in on their opinion. The story that I told myself when I was watching what had happened was from the lens of, like you illustrated, I watched every single minute of the Ketanji Brown Jackson hearing. And that was painful. That was just, I'm from politics, so I can kind of see the political theater as it played out. There's certain things that were inappropriate, but I wouldn't consider below the belt. But then there were just some things where when I would see her reaction, or I would see the tone in the person asking the question, it would trigger some feelings in me of when I used to be at a table making decisions and people kind of talk to me in a certain tone, and it just didn't feel good. Or when I was, supporting the principal of the agency who happened to be a Black female, and I kind of felt like, wow, this isn't fair. I prepped a Black man, I prepped a white man, and never had to deal with these types of questions, but now I'm prepping a Black female, and it's stuff that they're bringing up that would never come up with anybody else. So coming off the heels of that, coming off the heels of leaving the government and corporate America altogether and saying, I'm just going to focus on my family and myself, my own mental health. And I am one who goes to therapy very often. So I'm in therapy twice a week, right? So, and have been, and I'm a huge proponent of it. When I saw it, one, let me just admit, I wanted Will to be right. I just wanted him to be right. I wanted him to be the hero. So I'm coming at it from that, but I'm also coming at it from, it's about damn time somebody stood up for Black women. Like, I put the whole weight of the whole experience of Black women in that moment, right? And as I have time to think it through, what I said was, I don't really have an opinion, actually. I'm making sense of everything that I'm seeing. I am emotionally trying to separate myself so that I could think a little bit more rationally. And as I talk it through, there's some things that develop. At the end of the day, I was coming at it not from a person who's in the industry and have those considerations. I didn't think in the moment how it would impact any movement. I just, in that very moment, my body just felt like, wow, that was deep, but it's about time somebody got a little indignant for Black women. And I kind of felt it in the moment. And my opinion is developing and my perspective is evolving, I believe, but I just wish people didn't talk in such absolutes. I don't think he's an idiot. Why'd you call him an idiot? Why did you, what was that have to do with anything? Or, that was the absolute worst thing that he could do. Probably not. That was just uncalled for. But do you know his story? Like, do you know why he did that? I'm not saying he wasn't wrong. Never said he was wrong. Never said he wasn't wrong. So that's where I agree with you, Moses. He assaulted someone, and if they dragged him off and took him to jail, I would be like, "Dang, man!"
So stay right there.
So I'm with you in that regard. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, Dr. Parker, why do we exist in this system of binaries of? And he's right. There were absolutes, either or. So why was that easy for many people who were watching it live, just like we all were watching it? And then why were we able to separate the person who's a celebrity from the person who did that act?
That's a great question. I think that's very difficult. I think what Jerome is saying is on point. I think that this is so close to home, man. We've seen this. We've seen it. That's why Jerome's passionate about Black women. I've seen it. I've seen men hit women, and men hit men, and women hit women. I mean, we've seen it. So this again goes back to those triggers. This stuff can trigger when this happened in my childhood, or what happened last night in my own home, and so that's the thing that and what I so want for people that are listening is this: we have to grow in our emotional intelligence and our self-awareness. I gotta know what's going on inside of me and being aware and self-aware. As I said earlier, whatever we don't talk out, we act out, or we bury that emotion and gets buried alive. And so that's the thing. And I'm so grateful that in the Black community that we are more pro therapy than we've ever been. Back in the hood, back in the 60s, 70s, I'm growing up in New York, man, therapy was going to church, running around, crying out for Jesus to help, or smoking some weed, or getting some Oakley 800. That's what therapy. We medicated our pain.
That's right.
We medicated our pain, or so I'm grateful that to hear you guys as men, Black men, saying, "Hey, man, I go to therapy. We all of us see the therapist, and I do this work." That's what's good, and thank goodness it didn't take a week for both of these men to go back and say, "Man, I was wrong." There's a growth moment for Chris in all this. That be aware. I'm gonna still be a comedian. We still need his comic. We still need his talent in that way. But now he has to be careful of where he has a boundary now. And now Will has to be aware. Man, I may need to do some deeper work. That ain't like me. I'm the Fresh Prince. I'm a fun-loving dude. So hopefully for Will, this is an opportunity to do some deeper work, and hopefully, with all of us, it's an opportunity for all of us to continue to do our own hard work.
Our own work. Yeah. And so, can you bring in Sandra quickly, because this is one of my closest, dearest friends. Hey, Sandra Dubose.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? How you guys doing?
Not a mucho.
I like that. Now, what did you say? But it sounded sexy and good, girl.
Listen.
Okay. Then I'll keep going. How you doing? It's good to be here, guys. Thanks for having me on with you guys.
So she's going to take over, right? So Sandra and I talked today. Sandra has alopecia, and she was sharing with me that although Jada can wear it as if it's a crown, we don't know psychologically. Now, mind you, I know my sister is beautiful.
Yes.
And as long as I have known Sandra Dubose, I don't even think, if I'm being honest, of what the reality of alopecia is for her. Because she carries it as if I'm Sandra Dubose. And so, Sandra Dubose, can you talk about what you as a Black woman have gone through with this alopecia journey and what we may need to be sensitive to? And then also this whole idea of defending Black womanhood and how you felt about that.
Thank you. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share my perspective and my experience, and to really kind of shed some light as a woman who's living with this condition. And so just a little background, my journey with alopecia started when I was 25 years old. And bless God, this Sunday I will make 48 years old. So thank you, Lord. We made it. Thank you so much. Aries in the house. That's what's up. But so I say all that to say it's been a long time for me, right? So I can speak from a perspective of, I remember what it was like when I first started having this experience at the tender age of 25, and now over 20 years later, all that I've learned. So I've done my work. So, it's like for someone who's just starting off with this experience, we have to really be very sensitive to how traumatic it is. And one of the things, I was actually on the local news today talking about my perspective on this experience. And one of the things that I said was that just because you see a woman smiling, it doesn't mean that she's not in pain. Right? And so that is part of the process. We're not going to wear our hearts on our sleeves. We have to, as women, we are taught you got to put your face on, you got to go out there and look confident, even if your heart is breaking, especially in the entertainment world. You want to put your best foot forward. And especially when you are a celebrity, because you know that so many other people are watching you, you are an inspiration to them. And even if you don't feel like it, you're going to do it for the people that need you to show up and rock it, even if it isn't how you really feel inside.
Yeah.
And so the difficult thing about this situation is that there's so many variables. We don't know these people personally to
Right.
be able to plug in those holes to say, here's the answer. We're all just kind of speculating. But here's what I know for sure. You know, when you have a man at the time I was married, I'm divorced now, but at the time when I did have alopecia, my ex-husband, and I give him credit where credit is due. He was amazing to me in terms of helping me to feel confident. He assured me all the time that I was beautiful, that he loved me, that it didn't matter. He spoke life into me when I was crying and depressed. This it was stages. I had patches of hair. It was very, very devastating. And I wasn't doing well. And I wasn't very loving to him, right? So I would go
Mm.
to work and be nice and a manager and take care of everyone else. But I come home and I got an attitude because you're the person I could really share my heart with. You are my safe place to land, but you're also, unfortunately, going to take the brunt of a lot of those punches of what I'm really dealing with. So I say all that to say that only Will Smith knows how is Jada really doing in this experience. Just because we see her and she looks beautiful and we're like, girl, you are gorgeous. You are working that. That's just one level. But only
Mhm.
behind closed doors in the middle of the night does he see a teardrop come down her eye. Does he see
Mhm.
the internal struggle? And so we don't know, it was obvious that there was a lot that he was carrying, and there's so much energy around their marriage and all of the drama, and they're the butt of a whole lot of jokes. They got to take a
Mhm.
whole lot from people. Partially
Yeah.
their fault because they told us, you went on Red Table Talk, you put it out there, we're going to talk about it. Isn't that what you wanted? Well, you got to take all that comes with it, right? However, but when in that moment, when Chris made the joke, everybody laughed. But when he got the cue and he saw his wife's face, said,
Yeah. Yeah.
"Oh,
Yeah.
that ain't that
Yeah.
funny. I ain't laughing."
Yeah.
Right? And he said, "Oh, well, this one not funny. Wait a minute now. Now I got to do something different." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so my point is, as a woman, of course, we want to feel protected, right? And we may not understand the severity, but we don't know the whole story. That's his woman. He
Mhm.
knows her heart. We see her smile, but he may know her pain. So we have to be sensitive. And I'm not justifying how he went about it because it was so wrong on so many levels. I think he had a psychotic break because it is so out of pocket. It's so out of character, but we don't know what he's struggling with. We don't know the full story of what's happening with this man. But as a woman, I'm from the Bronx, New York. I'm that ride or die chick. Okay.
We just
So
heard it.
yo, at the end of the day, you stood up for me. I'm gonna put some money in your commissary. You go to jail, I got you. You want cigarettes? I'm still coming to see you. It don't matter.
Yeah.
Sandra, you my home girl.
That's
I'm from
how we.
Queens, girl. I'm from Queens.
We got
I
three New
love you, my
Yorkers in
sister.
it.
I love you.
I
Yeah,
love
I
you too.
love her. Yeah, I made me feel at home. I know that I
Oh
feel at
yeah.
home with her.
You know,
I'm
but,
just saying
but
he's dead wrong, but I'm a still
I'm gonna
ride for
hold you down.
I'm gonna hold you
It-
down.
so I have a
We both
question.
dead wrong,
That's
wrong.
a,
But guess what?
you know
We
he
gonna
was
be dead
wrong,
wrong
right?
together.
That's right. I'm like, you crazy. We out here looking crazy. Now come on here. Come on here.
So,
I ain't
so
going
Jay,
to
so Jay and
I love
Sandra,
it.
I think that the issue for me was that I was seeing people, for me,
Mhm.
tap into some toxic behaviors that I saw in our communities growing up
Yes.
and justifying
Mm,
it on so many levels. And I was just like, I couldn't, I couldn't get there. I
sure.
couldn't get there to say that that was the wisest thing. I couldn't judge it, and everything that you said. Now, I did say, let's call
Mhm.
what it is. It's assault.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's, but and so that's where Jay was just like, I think that you are judging. I said, listen, from a PR point of view, from what I do in the industry,
Mhm.
I did find it incredibly selfish, and I found it incredibly self-serving for
Yeah.
me because I'm thinking you all don't know the fights that we go through in
Yeah.
the industry to get Black people.
Yeah.
He got an all Black production crew.
Yeah.
that's in Hollywood.
Yes.
But anyway, so what I want to say, Dr. Johnny, because you're out of time and we're going to keep talking. What is the one thing I said we were, what can we learn? And it was about get wisdom and get understanding.
Yeah.
So what's wisdom for us before I bring our next guest in? What's wisdom and what's understanding for us as you leave us, sir?
No, I appreciate it, and thank you, Sandra. I really appreciate your perspective. That you just helped a brother out, and like I said, I'm a Queens guy, so I'm right down the street from the Bronx. So I get your spirit, and so you know what I just
all this New York on the phone. What
we could be a lot, right, Sandra?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody doesn't understand, but we get each other.
We get each other. Yeah, you can't be from upstate. You got to be from a borough to be for real.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah,
don't do that.
come on. I'm just saying.
Don't do that.
Now, wait a minute now. That's my brother, dog.
I appreciate it.
We too deep on this phone. You know how we down in D.C. We just fight. We will just fight.
Jake, now we're going to have fighting on the reconciliation because you called me out on that So what's
seriously, man. Yeah, so in terms of wisdom, it really is. I think the wisdom is this. The wisdom is this. It's really three questions that I ask myself every day, and that I coach everyone that I work with, and I teach what's called positive psychology at Johns Hopkins, which is the science and evidence of how people flourish in relationships and leadership and business. And so here are the three questions I think are really, really important that we got to ask that in terms of wisdom and and being healthy. Can I trust you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you care about me? And are you committed to this? So can I trust you is an important question that we need to ask in terms of relationship. As I said in my piece, we all need safe people to and be what I call the backstage of our life. We have a front stage, which is very, very public. It's on the stage of life and career and everything. But the backstage is where, as Sandra said, that's where the true story emerges. So who do I give an access pass to my backstage to help me process me? Healthy me, strong we. So can I trust you? Sure. I need that. I need those safe relationships. And I don't need a lot of people back there. But I need a few good people that I can trust. And then can I trust you? Do you care about me? I need to know that you love me for me, okay? And you receive me for me in terms of this life. And then are you committed to this? Are you committed to us? Our friendship, our relationship, our marriage, our business agreement, whatever. And we need those three questions are important to flourish, to thrive in business and in life. We have to regularly ask ourselves those three questions in order to be healthy, to grow, and to have strong relationships as people.
Well, I've got to say thank you. You gave me, it was 3 sessions. In 3 sessions, you gave me the framework that I needed to know that where I was not the place I needed to be. And it manifested in time as one of the best places I'm supposed to be at and live and thrive. And so I need to say, Dr. Johnny Parker, you were the only person that I would call. I'll give you 30 seconds. How can people get in contact with you if they need any of that?
Yeah, they can go to my website, johnnyparker.com, and there's a ton of resources that are there, all kinds of tools. We have one called Rise, and it's an acrostic for being robust and having impact, and what are you seeking, and then your effectiveness. And it's all grounded, again, in the psychology of grit and resilience. And then my style is to blend spirituality, biblical truth with positive psychology. So yeah, if they go to johnnyparker.com, they can get a number of resources, especially my most current book called Turn the Page, Unlocking the Story Within You, that every life is always telling a story, but is your life telling a story that you were born to tell? And that's what we help you do.
Well, I love it. I do see a tour coming between Dr. Johnny Parker and motivational speaker Sandra DuBose.
Oh, that would be fun.
Um,
Bring that
I will
Brooklyn
be on the
Queens,
front
that
row.
Brooklyn, that Queens Bronx connection. Let's do
yeah,
it.
yeah. Dr. Parker, on my show will be in Bowie, Maryland, June 10th through the 12th. I'd love for you to be there. I'll send you some information.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you,
All
sir.
right.
Thank you for your
Good
wisdom.
night, everyone.
Good
All right.
night. See you
Good
soon.
All right. So you all heard that www.johnnyparker.com. Kabibi Newsom. Hey, Kabibi, that's from Syracuse. She says, so glad to hear professional Black men also being open about going to therapy. So you had 3 Black men in different stages of our lives, all saying that therapy is a framework that we need to stay aligned, to stay aligned, and to stay healthy. Thank you for that. She also said the fact that Chris Rock did a movie on hair, she felt like he should have known better. She also agrees that for Will, it was a buildup. There's definitely more there. Can we bring Mr. Henry in? Is he there? Mr. Henry, can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I
Oh
can.
my God, Mufasa is here. Hey.
I am King Joffrey.
Yes.
All
right. So I've got to be honest with you. Mr. Henry and my family, we call him Uncle Blue. Uncle Blue and I talk at least once a day, and he is part of my wellness plan. So literally, I have a daily wellness plan. Henry's a part of it. Sandra, now different seasons, once a week. We have a friend named India once a week. I got on my brother Jay today. I was like, yo, when somebody calls you, call them back. So Mr. Henry,
yes, sir.
Come on, man. Come on, it's just us.
I can't help it. Since I was 14, man, I had this.
Okay, so as a sage, given your wisdom that you give me every day, and when I called you this morning, when we spoke, you called me this morning, I said, I'm triggered.
Yeah.
And I told you I was triggered for several reasons. What was your experience?
Well, it comes back as I apologize to you because I raised a question on your page.
Stop it. You came at one of my, stop it.
Yeah, I did.
Sandra, this is the first time ever Mr. Henry made a comment at one of my white classmates, married to a Black woman, and Mr. Henry went there, and before I went to bed, I was just like, no, Mr. Henry didn't. And I was just like, I can't let it go.
But you know what? I didn't know his race, and it was irrelevant to me. Okay. The commentary was based upon, like Brother Jay said, everybody they were absolute in their opinions, and they were dug in. You know, what's wrong? And I'm like, how quickly we forget, because there are some people that, and it's not an equivalence. And I told you that. I digressed. I mentioned that on the page. I said, but I digress. The point that I made was people were silent when there were people bringing out AR-15s to intimidate peaceful protesters. Nobody said anything. And in something like this, we get a chance to see where everybody becomes an expert, but what are we really reacting to? So that's the difference between reaction and responding.
And so first thing.
Can I get on that call? Because you are teaching now. You are teaching.
Yeah.
Look, I told Henry, I said, would you stop bootlegging and just go in and get your license to teach? Because literally, in some very difficult, Sandra's aware, in some very difficult seasons of my life, professionally and business-wise, Henry would be calling me and say, well, remember, you're a lion.
That's right.
Lions just show up. And so what my heart broke for last night in terms of Will was, it's what Reverend Johnny said. Every man needs someone, another man, where he is safe to be. Yeah. Where he can literally this morning when Henry called, and he called with the apology first, I was just like, my commentary, yeah. We got through that. I was like, I'm triggered. And that's not something that I gotta be honest with you. I didn't want to go to work. Thinking about it.
Really?
Because I live the behind the scenes Will Packer life every day. only black male.
Yeah.
Sandra,
Yeah.
only black director where I work,
Yeah.
only black on all these Zooms,
Yeah.
advocating for BIPOC people. And what I carry every day is a potential fear that I'll invite someone and then they'll say, well, you invited that one. And now and so I had to say, I'm triggered on different levels. Help me process this. So as a black man, go ahead, Jay, you have a question?
No, I was going to say, while you were saying that, something popped into my head, and I haven't even gotten an opportunity to really think it all the way through. But do you remember when Barack and Michelle did? It was like a documentary, and it was talking about the final days. And the one, oh no, I'm sorry, it was when they did the documentary about Michelle's book.
Okay,
and remember, she said the thing that really broke her heart was that they did all that work and people didn't even show up to vote. And so she was just saying how that was it just broke her because she didn't want to be there in the first place. The reason I bring that up is because it sounds a lot like what you're saying. The feelings sound like they're pretty synonymous. Like you're doing a lot of work to advance Black people in film. So when you see someone that does something that knocks you back 5 years,
correct,
you were triggered. And that's all I was saying on the post. From that perspective, you resonate with me because I have been in that feeling, working in the mayor's office, working in the White House.
That's right.
Like giving blood, sweat, and tears for something.
That's right.
For a summer youth employment program. And then the young people's come in and tell me, well, this what you gonna do. And it's like, wait a minute. I did all this work. And you coming in here fighting, smelling like weed. What are you doing? So I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
But everybody is looking at the same thing and making sense from their own lived experience.
From their own perspective.
That moment,
that's right.
I think the reason why I jumped to Will was because I know what it's like to have somebody that you love and somebody goes, comes for them or whatever, and then you just happen to look over and you just see the pain.
That's
correct.
And I want to go back to Miss Dubose. Because the one thing that I think that just, that even Mr. Henry, you said it, how soon we forget, ... Because people jump to so much judgment and nobody just took for a second to think about, have I ever felt that way? Right. Has anybody ever said something to me and that thing just cut me? Or have I ever, I have, people in my lives that I'm very, very, very close to. And I actually had a best friend in high school, Shanae, who you may remember the name. Shanae in high school was dealing with alopecia and her hair was falling out and we were best friends. And I was there when she was crying. I was there when someone came and snatched her wig off. I saw how that wasn't even like, playground, somebody ripped your shirt and now you're embarrassed because the shirt, that thing broke her soul. And I will, I don't know what that feels like, but I know what brokenness feels like. And in that moment, especially after he got up and everybody had all these questions, and I'm like, if you listen to him, he told you. He said, and so for all the judgmental people, can you just take a moment and think about, have you ever been in a situation where you wanted to protect your child from going out that door? When you wanted to protect your mom from going under the knife, and you were just helpless. Yeah. Everybody expected too much from Will in that moment. How many times have you been triggered so much and you still had your rational faculties about you? You don't. Your frontal cortex is gone. All rationalization is gone. That amygdala has kicked in. And if you don't have somebody there strong enough to say, yo, calm down, you too, Moses Thomas Alexander Greene, will jump up on that
stage the whole name
and smack somebody. Yeah. So let's not forget what that feels like. Was it wrong? Yes. Absolutely. But do I understand? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the last thing I'm going to say that I said to Moses was, in this phase of my life, jumping to conclusion is a negative and reasons mean a lot to me. And if
Sure.
if you did something that was completely the antithesis of what I wanted to do, but your cause was righteous, I don't know if I should just throw the book at you, right? If you was trying to save the world, you just had a different way of doing it than me, but we both wanted to save the world. Why didn't I subject you to death? Like, because you planned a mutiny. What you did was wrong. It was against the rules. But at the end of the day, were we trying to do the same thing? Yes. I think that there's something called grace because laws don't work, right? I thought that's what we learned in the Bible.
Right.
But now I'm done. Sorry.
But Moses, it's there's a thing. I'm sorry, Miss Sandra. Go ahead.
No, I'm listening to you. I was just responding. I'm amening.
Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, a couple of things. We get a chance to see that at any given moment, our emotions can hijack our intellect.
Yes.
Okay, and when that happens, what happens? I can give you a case in point. I was on a gig and we were on stage singing, and we were as I was getting ready to. I was in the middle of a song actually, and there was a guy that was coming in. I saw him in the audience, and he was raising his hand as if to strike this woman. Bro, I was off the stage in a couple minutes, and I had somebody go, no, this is an acting troupe. We just wanted to see how people would react if they would stand by silently while someone would be assaulted. I'm like, I'm the wrong guy because I saw this growing up. You know, I wasn't going to ask questions. I was taking the brother out, period. Point blank. And was it to be noble? Some people might call it noble, but it was also, I don't care who you are. I don't need to know your name. I'm not going to stand around and watch a woman get assaulted. But here's another reality. Words can hurt a lot longer, and the pain can last a lot deeper than any fist.
Yes.
That goes to what Sandra that goes to what Sandra was saying. So if you want people to get understanding of one thing, Sandra, what would that be? And that's how we'll close. Because this was for me about wisdom and understanding. It's not about, again, it's not about size. People going to believe what they want, even with the apology and him saying it was inexcusable. Folk are still going to believe what they believe, and that's for them. That's between them, their maker. Sandra, if there's something that you want people to walk away understanding, what would you want that to be?
I guess I would want them to understand that just because someone looks beautiful, or you may look at them and you're like, oh, well, you look like you're doing fine, so that must mean that you are. You never know what people are struggling with. So whether it's, how it's impacting Jada and why that joke wasn't funny to her, did that joke personally offend me as a woman with alopecia? No, but I'm not in her seat. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things are not going to offend me 20 years down the road. When I was new to it, you can't breathe on me. If you can't even look at me too long, because then I'm too insecure and I'm thinking, what are you thinking? It's too much. So everybody's in a different stage. So just being cognizant of the fact that you don't know what people are carrying, and Will wanting to, he knows what's going on. So when he saw the hurt or the frustration on her face, he went about it in completely wrong way. There's so many ways that he could have done that. But I believe at the end of the day, his heart for his wife just drove him to act a daggone fool. And like Jerome said, everybody deserves some grace because we're all human and we're all carrying a lot. And sometimes you might catch us on an off day. I know you might catch me on an off day. And I sure hope that you'd have grace to know that my heart and who I really am is not just that one moment. It's not just that one moment. I'm more than that. But I can have a moment because I'm human.
Okay. Jay, if you had, what do you want people to understand?
So, as soon as you asked the question, the first thing that came to my mind was at best, people are still people. There was a wise man who told me that.
Who told you that? Yes, sir. At best.
I've lived my life by it. And the power behind it is I'm triggered just like everybody else. And I want to judge people just like everybody else, right? But when I am in a position of power, or I'm in a position to make a decision, or I'm in a position to react or act, I always think this person acting a fool, or this person who attacked me, at the end of the day, They are a person with feelings, that had struggles, that, you know, may have just had a bad day. And I think that if Jesus could go to a cross and still say, but they deserve the benefit of the doubt, that just because somebody said something to me or somebody smacked somebody, and now it's time for me to judge, that I go, well, wait a minute, they deserve grace. Because if he could say it, then I can try it. And even if I still get to the same conclusion, that was a powerful exercise to pause and say, let me suspend judgment. Because at the end of the day, I think judgment is there to protect us, right? So we judge situations to really protect us, to know what's safe, what's not safe, whether discretion will preserve me, or I can be transparent, or whatever the case may be. And so when you realize you're just dealing with people who have emotions and who hurt and who are happy and who get excited and who make mistakes, it just confines me that people will define your entire existence by one mess up.
Absolutely.
But I thought we were all human, so mess up was a part of the job description. But sometimes we forget that.
All right, Mr. Henry, you will close before I.
Okay.
Before I do.
I'll piggyback on what Brother Jay just said, and that would be a nanosecond of pause can avoid a lifetime of grief. Yeah.
Jay, every day. Jay, every day.
Next 5 years, you're gonna see that.
Because our society is not going to let him forget that.
No, sir.
Ever.
Every chance they get.
And so the Black community has to
exactly
rally around our son, our uncle, our brother, our father, and say, we didn't like it. It was inexcusable, but we love you.
Right.
And we all have had the right set of wrong. If you get anyone, what did I used to say, Jay?
The right set of wrong circumstances.
The right set of wrong circumstances.
Wow.
You too will smack somebody.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And so what I will close with, my sister bought me this book for Christmas, and there is an entire cancel culture that doesn't allow. Now, again, it was assault. We can't take that away.
Yeah,
correct.
But I'm not at a place of, again, and Henry knows this more than most because, you know, however much we talk, it is literally, God, if you allowed this in my life for me to see this, what wisdom am I supposed to get? What understanding? And then, as I said to you today, Henry, and then how am I like that? And I will tell you, there were situations in my life 3 years ago, Henry's wisdom is the only reason why I didn't act out. My mother saying, no, you will not do that. Although it would have been justifiable to do that. So who do the Wills of the world, or I'm going to go to when Whitney would like who do those celebrities have that aren't praising them and worshiping them such that somebody can pull them, an elder can pull them and say, you're not going to do that. So, hey, everyone.
Right.
I think Will's Mr. Henry was Denzel Washington.
Yes.
That was beautiful.
Yes. Henry, Uncle Blue saved me before.
I see what you're saying.
Before I wanted to act out, justifiable. Justifiable to me, but then what would have been the cost?
Yeah.
And having people would still be, and again, someone said this today, by him acting out, he created a new trauma that he's going to have to heal from.
True.
Yes, he did.
And it's just like, okay. So, hey, everyone. Tonight, my purpose was to bring in, it really started with my conversation with Henry this morning, feeling triggered, talking to Jay Jerome. And then I called Sandra and I called my producer. I was like, Antoine, if I can make this happen, he was in Virginia. So I want to thank my producer, Antoine. Hey, if you're in the chat, I need you to do 2 things. He has a new podcast called The Forced Pivot. And it's about how all of us in the last 2 years have had to pivot. So if you see it in there, please support him. And then also, I am supporting the March of Dimes. And if you would consider donating so that I can raise money to make sure that every family has a healthy start, I would greatly appreciate it. So I'm not part of cancel culture. And I think my first book was called Nothing But a Grace Child. And so anything that you see in me is not because I've been so perfect. It's been because God has been gracious to me. So thank you for your apology, Mr. Will. And there's one last comment. Let me see what the last comments say. Oh, it's the fundraising links. All right, everyone. Have a good night. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having
All right.
me. Nice
Bye,
meeting you.
everybody.
All right,
right.
take care.
Good
Bye,
night.
guys.
Good night.